Welcome to today's CRM Magazine Roundtable web event, brought to you by CallFinder, Hart Hangs, and Nice Systems. I'm David Myron, Editorial Director of CRM Magazine, and I'll be the moderator for today's broadcast. Our presentation today is titled, Create Smarter Interactions and More Effective Contact Centers. Before we start, allow me to explain how you can participate in the live broadcast. At the end of the event, there will be a question and answer session. If you have a question during the presentation, just type it into the question box provided and click on the Submit button. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but if your question has not been answered during the show, you will receive an email response to it within a few days. Plus, if you'd like a copy of the presentation, you can download a PDF from the resource icon at the bottom of the console. Now to introduce our speakers for today. Ann Thayer is the Account Manager for Speech Analytics Solutions at CallFinder. Stacy Green is the Head of Solution Services for Customer Experience Support at Hart Hangs. And Yohai West is the Solution Marketing Manager at Nice Systems. To review the speakers' bios, please click on the arrow under the speakers' photos. So now, without further ado, let me pass the event over to Ann Thayer, Account Manager for Speech Analytics Solutions at CallFinder. Welcome to the broadcast, Ann.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today, I would like to talk about the growing trend to differentiate as a business based on quality of service with a customer experience conscious approach that has been spurring increased interest in going beyond monitoring phone calls for quality and pursuing actionable trends and voice of the customer insights. And I'm going to share some specific examples from our experience here at CallFinder about how companies across various industries, the home remodeling, health and beauty, and education industry, are using speech analytics to better understand what's happening on their phone conversations with their customers, how they're identifying and analyzing trends, and then how they're improving their interactions by leveraging insights in their customer service and sales operations. So today, contact centers are often finding themselves under pressure to go from that cost center to a profit center, and they're being asked to do more than ever before. And at the same time, we're seeing that contact centers continue to be the focal point to get better visibility of their phone interactions and the customer experience. But understanding why the customer is electing to call when they call, and then understanding what their experience is in fulfilling that need requires taking the time to listen to actual calls, which are messy and they're unstructured sources of data. So the challenge then lies in how to efficiently collect and to analyze all of that unstructured information in a manageable way. So the key is not to limit monitoring to the current practices that are inefficient and time-consuming. We might invest in tools like call recording to help, but all of those recorded calls can be leveraged much more effectively. You can go beyond call recording and beyond hunt and peck methodology and beyond that traditional call quality monitoring with a speech analytics tool. And with that tool, you can highlight areas in your interactions with your customers that are illustrative of or tied to your KPIs or your business goals. And you can organize your calls for listening, and that way much more easily analyze your calls around various business operations, around agent performance and call handling practices, around customer experience and marketing and sales performance and intelligence, and any areas where you can make changes and make processes better for your business and for your customers. Now, speech analytics allows you to aggregate and to document and to drill down into the content of your calls and extract the intelligence within them, and to explore those big picture views and the trends that extend even beyond the call center. And the technology does this by scanning through hours of calls in seconds and automatically filtering and categorizing calls so that you can ultimately still listen to the actual conversations that take place, but you can listen to them in a way that is much more organized and efficient and prioritized. Now, it does this by flagging specific events within the conversations based on the spoken words and phrases that the user has identified that are indicative of a call that needs their attention, or indicates that there's important information contained within that call that has value to them as business intelligence. So examples of these events might be when there's a specific product or competitor mentioned, or maybe you're tracking upsell language, or you're tracking compliance to a script, or compliance to a required verbal disclosure, or perhaps tracking common customer questions or objections that arise that could point to bottlenecks in customer experience or point to business operations that can be improved or fixed. Now, many of the businesses I talk to, of course, are aware of this technology, that it exists, but I often hear that they don't know where to begin. So to help address that, today I'm going to share some practical business examples from some actual implementations that show how speech analytics helped 3 of our customers transform elements of their business and create better customer interactions. Now, in our first example, we worked with a career college that was concerned because enrollment for them was in decline. And this trend didn't make sense to the marketing director because this decline was around one of their most popular and most profitable programs. It was around a surgical technician program that they had actually predicted that over the next 10 years was going to grow by 30%. Now, they turned to us because with their existing limited quality monitoring processes, they can only listen to a really tiny amount of calls. And they really needed to better understand the phone interactions that were taking place around their admissions process. And they knew that they couldn't do that at the current rate that they were able to listen to calls. So they started by using speech analytics to filter and to group their student program inquiry calls by the type of program. And within a matter of weeks of doing this, they were able to isolate and to listen to those calls, and they began to realize that what was happening on that very first call was directly contributing to the enrollment decline. Their prospective students had been experiencing confusion that was being caused by agents' knowledge gaps of the programs. And this was particularly highlighted when the speech analytics tool pinpointed the moments in the calls when students were asking for information about the surgical program, and an admissions rep would say something like, "I'll have to ask my director," or would say, "We don't have a program like that." Now, once they understood what the root cause was of the enrollment decline, they needed to make sure that this wouldn't become a problem again. Now, they used speech analytics to monitor their calls so that they could coach and train their agents where they had identified that there were knowledge and skill gaps, and they would also verify that their admissions team was equipped to accurately describe their student programs, and then they would observe the overall handling of their conversations. This new focus on better training and better support for the agents led to a better admissions experience for their students and got them back on track for enrollment. Now, in our next example, this comes from an internal call center in the home remodeling industry that was also struggling with training and coaching. Now, they already recognized the direct impact that this was having in sales. Their agents were falling short of converting their prospects into appointments, and they had an overstretched management team that really needed a better way to stay on top of call monitoring and coaching. So implementing speech analytics for them allowed their management and training team to quickly identify and address the factors that were leading to these missed appointment opportunities. In one example, the technology was highlighting instances when customers were torn between interest in the product and concern over price. And this was being evidenced when over and over CallFinder was pointing managers to calls when customers were asking for a ballpark price, and an agent would respond, "Sorry, I can't give you a price," and that would derail the transaction. So isolating and aggregating their conversations around price allowed the trainers to much more easily find those agents who were demonstrating consistently strong call handling skills, who could successfully transition to a sales conversion, while at the same time revealing calls where those skills needed honing. And because speech analytics quickly and automatically pinpointed those priority calls for them, for the first time, management was able to coach agents by showing, not telling, with real and timely examples of call handling, and they were able to build a library of calls for coaching and training their agents. So the impact of all these changes was they had a 59% improvement in their sales conversion rates, and their call monitoring and analysis time was reduced by 90%. Now, in the last case I'm going to share, this was a cosmetic surgery practice that needed a better way to listen to the voice of their customers. This practice was, they were getting sporadic word-of-mouth feedback that their patients were looking for more specific types of services that they weren't currently offering, but they needed something more substantial than that to inform and to support decisions to make changes in their offerings. Now, they knew that they had this treasure trove of voice of the customer intelligence that was contained in this large volume of calls that they were fielding across their different locations, but the marketing resources were tight, so there was no way that they would be able to make sense of all those conversations around the context of customer preferences without having a really powerful tool. So they implemented speech analytics to much more efficiently harness the intelligence in their calls. In this case, they started by classifying calls around the topic of services requested, and they broke that down by procedure type. And when they did this, this led them to something unexpected. They found that when a customer was calling in for one procedure, they were often inquiring about a number of other procedures on that very same call. And when they dived further into those calls, they noticed that there was a strong trend. Patients were being forced to put off procedures that they actually wanted due to their busy schedules. And this was coming out from phrases like, "Can I get that done at the same time?" "What is the cost of multiple procedures?" and "Can it be completed the same day?" being heard within those calls.
I'm on the phone.
So within just a few weeks of the initial discovery and analysis, the management team was able to act quickly to adjust their marketing strategy. They created a special package that was just much more convenient for their busy patients, which was bundling multiple procedures during that same visit for a discounted price that was much more attractive. They ended up capitalizing on an opportunity to better serve their patients' needs and captured previously missed opportunities for revenue at the same time. Now, there are some common denominators in all these examples that I shared. We find over and over that the most successful companies are identifying high-impact areas in their calls to monitor, and they do this by understanding how their company KPIs and how their defined and measurable goals are evidenced or how they manifest in their phone interactions. And this means that they actually take the time up front to listen to their calls, listen to their day-to-day conversations with their customers from both the agents and the customer's perspectives in order to really understand what's happening and to identify what it is they need the tool to help them monitor and analyze. And of course, they don't just file away the information. They make sure that specific action that has measurable results is taken on those insights that they gain from speech analytics. And then they continually adjust and fine-tune to meet future changing customer and business needs. Now, I've taken you through an overview and I've shared examples of how speech analytics is helping you to go beyond quality monitoring to improve interactions with customers. And I'd like to take a moment now to provide a little background on CallFinder and how we work with our clients. We've been working with contact centers and call handling operations for 25 years, providing a suite of solutions that includes speech analytics as well as advanced call routing and call recording. Our goal is to make speech analytics accessible and affordable in as many ways as possible. And to do that, we developed CallFinder as a completely cloud-based solution. That means no hardware or software that's needed, and it requires little to no IT involvement. And that also means that we work directly with you and we provide one-on-one onboarding and training and support to make sure you have a successful implementation. It's as important to us as it is to you that when you are ready to research and implement your own speech analytics solution, that you're armed with the resources and the knowledge that you need to help you make sure that that solution fits your business needs. So I'm happy to offer myself as a resource to anybody who would like to know more about speech analytics after this roundtable. So my contact information is up here. I would like to encourage anyone to please feel free to reach out to me directly. And that is, thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. Back to you, David.
All right, great. Thank you for that, Ann. Now, let's introduce our next presenter, Stacy Green, who's the Head of Solution Services for Customer Experience Support at Hart Hanks. Welcome to the broadcast, Stacy.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Stacy Green. I have 20 years' experience in technology, ranging from software development to leadership. I have dedicated the last 3 years to specializing in customer experience support solutions. At Hart Hanks, I lead a team of solution experts that specialize in Oracle Service Cloud for contact centers. Our team includes train configuration, integration, software, and QA engineers. If you don't know about Hart Hanks, we invite you to check out our website at harthanks.com. We're focusing on CRM in the contact center today, but we have a lot of other interesting capabilities to help create smarter customer interactions. These include agency services, customer experience support, database, digital solutions, mail, and fulfillment. Today I'm going to go over what makes a smart interaction, tips to increase the adoption of your customer support site, ways you should be integrating with your CRM to solve customers' problems, and ideas to create agent workspaces that will improve interactions while reducing the amount of steps an agent has to take. First, what do we mean when we say smarter interactions? We mean the ability for customers to find answers to their questions quickly and accurately, to do so using their preferred channel, whether that be social, chat, self-help, email, voice, or video. It means the customer support representative has easy access to data and tools that enable them to focus on the customer interaction and solve their issue in a timely manner. It also means continuous improvement, learning from the customer's interactions and behaviors to continuously improve the support you offer. So how do we create smarter customer interactions? It all starts with the customer support site. A great support site will allow your customers to self-help by finding the answers they need. The customer support site should be more than that traditional FAQ. When launching a customer support site, there are a few important techniques to consider. And the first is tracking. Tracking is key. You can choose a solution with built-in tracking or apply the tracking yourself with minimal effort. Properly tracking the use of your support site allows you to analyze and improve your knowledge base over time. If you don't know which articles are useful and which are not, you are missing out on an important piece of data that is easy to collect. An additional benefit is the ability to track a customer's journey through the support site and use that data should they decide they need to interact with an agent later on. By tracking the customer's clicks throughout the site, you can pass that data into the chat or email widget. This allows the support agent to have insight into why the customer has reached out for support. This is a big step toward a smarter interaction, as well as giving you insight into where and when your customers give up on self-help and reach out to an agent. These are the areas on your site you should focus on improving. The next key to a great support site is to select a technology that allows it to integrate with all of your channels. We use Oracle Service Cloud for this. One knowledge base to maintain that is used on the public support site as well as by the agents across all the channels. This ensures a consistent, reliable response to questions regardless of the customer's preferred channel. Being in IT, I spend a lot of time combing through FAQ and support sites looking for answers to questions. One key differentiator between an FAQ and a true support site is the way answers are formatted. One simple trick is to reduce the length of a written article and replace it with pictures or video instructions. And the last tip to improve the success rate of self-help is to add guided assistance logic to knowledge base articles. This changes a long written answer into a step-through guide to ensure the customer's question is answered and they are not overwhelmed with too much information all at once. These are all relatively easy and inexpensive tricks to making a smarter customer support site. Really quick, I want to share one awesome statistic on support sites. We recently revamped the Help Center for an important automotive customer. And at this time, their support site is answering 96% of customer traffic. Only 4% still reach out to an agent for help from the site, and that's pretty powerful. Now let's look at how to make interactions smarter in the voice channel. There are 3 common technologies that you can use in new ways to take your support to the next level. The first is to integrate the IVR with your CRM. Since most CRMs have easy-to-use APIs to access customer and incident data, this has become a quick and inexpensive solution. Identifying the customers while they're in the IVR, by having the IVR access the CRM data, you can provide smarter IVR features to your customers. One good example is that you could evaluate user records for possible reasons for call and present different menu and self-help options based on the response. You can look for things like account issues or deactivated accounts, locked passwords, regional issues like blackouts by zip code or outages. Once you have a view of the customer and the possible reasons for the call, you can tailor in real time your IVR self-help options or apply custom routing to get the caller to the best suited support agent. The second recommendation is to take your CTI capabilities one step further. Most of you are aware of CTI screen pop technology because it's nothing new. But do your agents really know who they're talking to? Using CTI technology, you can pop the customer's information to the agent as the call is connected. But you can go way beyond just the name. You can instantly display open orders, tickets, account status. These can be from inside the CRM or from various systems using API calls. This puts all relevant customer data in front of the agents. No time-consuming search is needed. The interactions just became smarter. The agent now has insight into the customer before they have even asked the first question. These two technologies are great and pretty easy to implement. However, in the traditional sense, they're only as powerful as the amount of customer data you have stored in your CRM. That is where the third recommendation comes in. Expose all relevant customer data to your CRM. This can be done traditionally by importing the data or just exposing it via APIs. Good examples of data sources that you should be tapping into are your marketing database and your order management systems. By integrating your CRM with marketing database, you now have the ability to identify the customers needing support, even if they have never contacted the support team before. A great example of where we have done this at Hart Hanks is for a popular automotive client. When we integrated their CRM with their sales and marketing database, the support agents were able to identify the customer and see their ownership history immediately. The interactions became that much smarter. Our last step is to make sure you've spent the time to create a smart agent workspace. Once the customer is connected to an agent via chat, email, social, or voice, there are even more ways to improve the customer experience. So what is your first step? For me, it's creating one single solution for the support agents to use. Most customer support programs require agents to access more than one system to solve the customer's problem. These could be order management systems or any other source customer database. Once you're in an environment where agents have to log in and launch multiple systems to handle an incident, you have instantly increased the time it takes for the agent to help the customer. If these systems require the agent to re-enter the same data, you have also decreased the integrity of your customer data as a whole. Add on the extra time to train the agents how to log into these systems and when to use them, and you can see how this is not ideal. Knowing that most programs will require multiple systems, what can you do? There are a few easy steps you can take. The first is to implement a single sign-on strategy. This is a way to give the agent one login that will carry over into all the systems they need to access. Immediately, this reduces issues in training and the time during the interaction. The next is to expose those external systems into the CRM. Using browser controls, you can launch external sites inside your CRM. Agents able to work out of one single system reduces handle time and decreases redundant data entry. This saves you money and improves your data integrity. The last step sounds very simple, but it has a big impact. Make sure to design your workspace to keep the relevant customer data on display throughout the interaction. Dot key data points for viewing at all times. Customers are most satisfied when the agent is able to concentrate on the interaction and not struggle with the systems. Handling an issue quickly and on the first call improves your customer satisfaction score. By exposing relevant customer data to the agent at call arrival and enabling the agent to see the entire customer picture on one screen increases their ability to resolve the customer's issues quickly and on the first interaction. So to wrap this up, I thought I would walk through one recent implementation of all of these best practices. Okay, so let me walk you through a real-world program that required us to implement all of these. We had a large entertainment provider launching a new subscription service to allow viewers to watch their programming via online streaming. The support had to cover phone, email, chat, and social. We had to cover subscriptions, billing, and technical support. and we had to launch less than 30 days prior to their first major event. And to make everything a lot more fun, we had to make sure our solution and our agents could handle a peak of up to 240,000 calls per hour. So what do we do? Well, first we panicked a little bit, and then what we did is we stood up our preferred solutions, starting with Oracle Service Cloud, gave us a great platform to build on. Then we wanted to make sure the agents could handle the interactions as quickly as possible, because that was a lot of call volume we had to be prepared for. To do this, we loaded Service Cloud with all the customers of the streaming service, and this is an ongoing feed of data into the Oracle Service Cloud that ensures our agents have access to information on any customer that may contact us. We immediately applied CTI functionality that would automatically bring up the customer's record and history when a call is connected to the agents. This reduced the amount of time agents spend searching for customers in the system. We had to make the call flow really fast so we could handle the volume. Next, we set out to find ways to reduce the expected volume. We wanted to deflect calls while still keeping the customer satisfied. We designed an easy-to-use customer support site that allows customers to find the answers to their questions quickly and easily. We published the Contact Us information inside the support site to drive customers into the site before giving them the chat and phone number to reach out for live support. Then we integrated our IVR to offer up automated services such as Forgot Password. This allowed us to identify the subscriber while they were in the IVR and see if they had not logged into the service recently. If they hadn't, go ahead and change the menu up and offer them Forgot Password early on, because there's a good chance that that's what they're calling for. So these technologies allowed us to reduce the volume, but we felt like we needed to do more. Using our nice call and screen recording solution, we were able to evaluate how the call flows had changed over the course of the program. We noticed that data elements we had placed on tabs inside the workspace were now relevant earlier in the interaction, causing the agents to move around through the system. So we redesigned the workspace to match the new flow, keeping not only the customer data, but also the troubleshooting information docked and visible to the agent at all times on the workspace. Remember, as your programs evolve, your technology should as well. By watching and listening to how the agents are using the solution, it allows you to make adjustments that will continuously improve the quality of your programs. The key benefits I hope you can take away from this today are to invest in a great customer support site, use the insights you get from how your customers use your support site, and apply key integrations and technologies to create smarter interactions. Thank you very much for your time today, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions about the strategies that I talked about today. And back to you, David.
All right. Thank you for that, Stacy. Let's introduce our next presenter, Yochai West, who is the Solution Marketing Manager at NICE Systems. Welcome to the broadcast, Yochai.
Hi, thank you, and thank you everyone for hanging on for my last session here. Then I'm going to speak to you about the now factor as part of the Real-Time Engagement Center. So my name is Yochai West, and I'm working out of the Solution Marketing Group of our WFO side of the business. So most of you hopefully are familiar with NICE, but NICE has been around since the beginning of what we call the call centers, all the way out through the shaping the contact centers with multiple channels, going all the way to, we're defining now, the real-time engagement centers. Most of you know NICE as a recording and screen capturing solutions, but we've been leading the world with our WFO and customer journey solutions as well. So with that, hopefully, we will go now venture on to what we're calling now the now factor. So when we talk with organizations and market experts, the notion of the now customer and the now experience repeats often. Customers are growingly accustomed to the immediate experience of digital channels, the right here, right now type of experience. But in parallel, we see the customers are still reaching out to contact centers when they need to solve their more complex issues and needs, and they do it in large numbers. Our annual survey shows that 88% of customers choose to interact with their providers through an agent. And when they get to the contact center, they expect the same type of experience: service, information, and resolution in the moment. And there's where the gap really comes between expectations and the reality usually occurs. With the introduction of new real-time technologies, we believe that customer service organizations now have the opportunity to combine the best of both ends: the immediacy and availability of the digital age, coupled with the expertise and human touch of service representatives. This is the key for delivering the now experience consistently across channels. This is the opportunity to turn your contact center into a real-time engagement center. In the real-time engagement center, real-time technology and human expertise combine in order to deliver fast issue resolution and take smarter decisions based on real-time data. Let me take you through some of the key pillars to becoming a real-time engagement center. First, you have the availability of information, making every piece of data in the customer interactions available in real time. Then you have making the data accessible to everything and everyone who can benefit from it, whether it be systems, applications, agents, at an affordable cost, of course. And last, leveraging this data with the right tools and applications to turn it into insights and actions that deliver impact. So when I show this screen, I usually get a chuckle, right? This is what typically would be in a contact center that you would frequent, and this is exactly what isn't considered a real-time engagement center, right? How do agents deal with this, the constant regulatory reminders, this mini Miranda, don't forget to say this, we've got a new solution, don't forget to pitch this, don't forget to ask this question. So that all goes away in the real-time engagement center and looks more like this, right? Taking all that information and providing that in real time. And we're going to go through some examples exactly how that works and how we do that. So that would be in the form of messages and important notifications for customers to say in real time and in context. And also different opportunities, hidden opportunities that agents might miss in an interaction and then are then surfaced to them so they can then capture that in the moment. So I like to look at it as sort of in parallel, the evolution of navigation, right? Everyone sees the GPS, right? The GPS was for people who didn't know where they were going, right? They had this GPS that says, okay, here are the directions, I don't know where I'm going. But this has evolved into a real-time navigation, which people, I think, who even know where they're going just always have this on. So if they're, in this example, if there's a better route, I can save you, time how to get to where you're going. Let me recalculate that in real time and tell you how you're going to get to your goal faster. Then that's, I see, where we're going with this real time. Again, going from the just how to get somewhere to helping you in real time navigate through complex accidents, routes, and better routes. So let's go through a workflow. So, okay, first, there are a couple of elements included in this. First, you've got the multi-channel recording. A lot of companies today, including NICE, are able to provide that even in one system. So you don't have separate systems. You have a streamer, you have a recorder, you have those capturing video, that capturing screens. If you're able to put that all together into one unit like NICE has, that can also get you much better TCO and real-time streaming to enable you to have that, again, the right solution in place to help you push out those real-time solutions. Then it's important to have also the triggers, right? To have speech analytics help you trigger, pick up the different nuances during interactions, but also have the desktop analytics, as an example, to be able to also use that as a trigger. So if customers, if agents are going through different processes that are less familiar with them, then if they click on a certain area, then we can give them guidance for that specific process. And that all would feed into a real-time decisioning engine. And that's where we tie in a lot of the offline processing that you would have from agent performance, for example. So let's say you have agents, and not all agents are the same and have the same skill level, right? So some agents, are really great in sales, and some are a little bit better in collections and other different talents that they have. So if you have a general real-time guidance for, sort of one-size-fits-all, that probably wouldn't do so well. So the idea would be to tie in the quality or the performance of different agents to tailor that guidance for them. So if Bob, always forgets to ask for a certain form and it already got 3 times this month, so Bob will be the one who gets the real-time guidance to help them remind him that he needs to push this form in exactly at the right time during that interaction, as one example. The next is also business data, right? So the more you can strengthen the knowledge that the agent has of the agent, also be able to provide that information. So if an agent is dealing with a customer who is high valued or has just, is due for an upgrade, so the guidance for that is, of course, going to be different per situation. And then you have predictive modeling, which is part of the customer journey, which is also very important, and we'll see in the example coming up soon. So, if you're speaking to a customer who this is the 3rd time they've either called or contacted your organization through the different channels, that agent should know about it and know about it in that interaction, and that should also shape the guidance that is provided to the agent at that time. And that all should be then translated into in a case, let's say in a compliance environment, a risk score and possibly a probability. So we'll see an example of, let's say, the probability of someone to, let's say, file a complaint. Based on the information that we have, what they're saying, what they've done in the past, can we predict that possibly, that they now would then go ahead and possibly escalate a complaint? And then that would come out into the different variations of guidance or alerts. And we'll see also shortly how that's done both on the agent side and also on the managers and supervisor side. So that could be through alerts or through the desktop guidance, which I referred to. But you don't want to stop there, right? You want to take that and be able to then, if it's a situation which needs to be triaged and then managed as a case, as let's say a complaint, then you would need also to automate the process of helping also the agents transfer that interaction to a process or a workflow that would be worked out to the different parts of the organization, helping in solving the issues or whether it be complaints or retention. So let's look at this example. Okay, so in this example, an agent has a typical CRM and a customer calls, and this customer starts identifying themselves. And right away, using the predictive modeling, we're able to present what's called the propensity to complain, or the likeliness for this customer to complain. How exactly do we do that? Well, the customer called and started speaking about his money transfer. And the system can identify the common complaint paths that were previously for this customer. So here in this example, there were 2 prior inquiries this month regarding money transfer. And then an email with the subject money transfer was actually sent that morning. So if you can aggregate that and provide that, give that through the decisioning engine and provide a risk score, then of course that is a high impact situation that agents can then be able to deal with in real time much better than not having that information. And you know what? Then if it was to come to a complaint, then we're also able to identify this as a complaint. Sometimes it's not so clear when customers are saying, if you say straightforward, I'd like to file a complaint, that's pretty straightforward. But if customers are saying these days, that's not fair, you can't treat me this way, or I'm going to speak to my lawyer, regulators these days look at that as complaints as well. So how do we help the agents in real time also identify that? So speech analytics can also identify that in real time using a complaint lexicon, and then giving that agent the ability to then choose, let's say, log this as a complaint, and then transfer that information over to a queue that will be put into process as part of a workflow for dealing with those complaints all the way to its issue resolution. So that's just one example of how you're taking the combination of real-time streaming, you're adding in the speech analytics, the desktop analytics, you're adding in the quality and performance of the agents to be able to provide the right information to the right agent at the right time. And you're tying in also predictive modeling to be able to give the common complaint, for example, journeys, to give that information to the agent to be able to make that impact in real time. And then, of course, the tools to be able to alert the right people and then be able to pass that on to an actual workflow to handle, let's say, in this example, a complaint for making this into action, taking this into action. And this wouldn't be real time if you weren't mobile, right? So, you've got managers walking around. We talked about the agents. Now we want to look at the managers. What can they use in a real-time engagement center to make sure that they're also getting those alerts, they're able to understand exactly what's going on in real time? So this is our real-time manager on the go application that managers can view in real time the status of all their calls in the contact center, in the real-time engagement center, different abilities to view alerts and different things that come along. So at any point in time, you can tap into any interaction. So if there is a need to jump in, let's say, if a call has already gotten a bit too long and that agent has sort of raised the flag, then that manager can actually tap into that call from this application. You can also track every agent. So there are different alerts going on using, again, the different analytical tools, identifying fraud issues, identifying regulatory issues, or even positive, sales achievements can also be rewarded. So it's real-time monitoring, being able to incorporate also a little bit of gamification. And then you can also tackle problems in real time, communicate with those who need it through different chats and conferencing as well. So all in all, this is altogether our view of the Real-Time Engagement Center. And I invite you to please visit NICE.com and learn a bit more about how we can help you turn your contact center into a real-time engagement center. Thank you very much. Back to you, David.
All right, Yohai. Thanks for that presentation. All right, I have some time. We have some time for a few questions. I'd like to remind our viewers that if you have a question, you can type it into the question box provided and simply click on the submit button. As I stated earlier, all questions will be answered. We'll try to answer as many questions on the call, but if we're not able to, all questions will be answered via email. All right, so with that, let's now bring Yohai. Yohai, you just finished your presentation. Let's kick things off with you.
Sure.
My first question for you is, are you seeing live video chat become part of the real-time engagement center?
Yeah, it's a good question. That is definitely something that we're seeing. First, we've seen it in what's been called the live ATMs, which are interesting. So when you go to, in the financial world, if you go to an ATM, you'll be able to deal with most of what you would need to deal with an agent, but at the ATM. I've seen that piloted a couple of places and rolled out in a number of large financial institutions. But also for a lot of home agents, it's become very big. And also longer, interactions like mortgage consultancies. So instead of having to actually find a real expert, possibly not in your area, you could then go to a branch and set up sort of this video chatting with an expert who's found somewhere else. But the challenge that we all have to have in mind is how, if we're talking about QM and quality monitoring, it brings a whole other level now. So it's not just the what you say and what is done in the interaction, but also how they carry themselves in an actual video interaction. So that definitely has seen it, but it's also created amongst that also challenges in the world of QM.
In your presentation, you talked about some compelling abilities to discover the propensity to complain, but are there some, or what are some of the main use cases for real-time solutions besides complaints?
Okay, so still within the compliance world, which is still pretty big because there's a lot at stake there. Collections, of course, is a big one. That's also complex and tricky, and is definitely there as a good solution to help agents deal with some of those complexities. Sometimes even every state has its own rules that you have to keep track of. But also we're seeing it also for retention. So let's say less skilled agents who are not exactly at the level that they know to transfer someone over to a retention team. So real-time speech analytics and other real-time technologies are helping these less skilled agents know and feel more confident when to transfer those over to retention. So those are the two ones that I've seen so far.
All right, great. Thanks for that, Yohai. And let's bring Stacy Green at Hart Hanks into the discussion. Stacy, why would you choose Oracle Service Cloud over other solutions out there?
Sure, and this is mainly focused at the inbound customer support programs, whether that be white glove customer support or high volume tech. We have just found that having that one integrated solution across all the channels really helps us deliver the consistent, reliable answers to our customers. So having the one solution instead of plugging in, chat over here, voice in something else, having it all together in one really makes it more powerful. We also found that the configuration capabilities and their easy-to-use APIs, we can stand up, enhance, and extend this solution very quickly and inexpensively.
All right, thanks for that. Another question for you, Stacy. Why would a customer choose Hart Hanks to implement their contact center CRM technology instead of a professional services firm or a larger IT shop?
Absolutely. I get asked that a lot, and the answer is very easy. While other IT shops are trying to understand contact center, we are a contact center that understands technology. So we're an integral part of the call center support team, and this means that we have great insight into the contact center technology and how it's being used. We apply continuous improvement strategies to ensure the programs and the technologies used for them are in line with the customer's vision for the program. This is not a build and walk away piece of technology. We stay part of the ongoing program, whether the agents are Hart Hanks representatives or our customers. Either way, we stay engaged and apply our insights that we have from being part of the contact center to all the programs we're involved with.
All right, great. Thanks for that. Let's bring Ann Thayer at CallFinder into the discussion. Ann, my question for you is, what is the best way to start when searching for the right speech analytics solutions for a company?
That is a good question. What I usually recommend is that you want to make sure when you're researching a solution that you have a pretty well-defined use case that helps to drive that research. And along with that, you want to also take a look at the internal resources that you have available to manage a speech analytics solution. Look at who's going to be using it, how are they going to be using it, how are you going to be translating its insights into action, and then what level of complexity are you able to manage as an organization versus what do you need versus what would be nice to have. And so you want to really pick the solution that is the right fit for your business and your business's needs.
All right, great. And another question for you, Ann. When do companies typically start seeing a return on their investment with an implementation of CallFinder?
Well, depending on how you define ROI, your parameters. Again, to go back to my comment, I can't stress enough how important it is to have a plan to know what results that define ROI for your company before you implement the tool. And when you're implementing it, of course, there's always going to be very quick, easy, low-hanging fruit ROI that honestly with our clients often comes within the first few weeks of implementation. And then as you get more comfortable with the tool, you can kind of expand outward to other projects that allow you to gain larger ROI and expand that ROI picture. And so, typically within the first 3 to 6 months, you start to get a little more confident and expand and gain more ROI from, again, those maybe more complex applications.
All right, great. I'm going to open the floor up to our live viewers. We have a couple of minutes for that. And there is a question here for you, Anne, and that is, can speech analytics work in Spanish, specifically in Mexico?
Well, yeah, there's a variety of different languages out there with speech analytics. And I think the key understanding to have with speech analytics is, yes, there's a lot of different languages that are available. The way that typically works, if you want to add, especially when you're working in multiple language, is each of the languages that you'll use require a separate language pack to support it. So as you're researching what solution that you need, and you're researching the resources you have available, because every additional language that you add adds a little bit of complexity and adds more resources that you need to apply to that picture. You want to make sure that you strike a balance of what do I need versus what is the best fit for my company.
All right, great. Thanks for that. There's a question here for Stacy at Hart Hanks. Stacy, besides the most reviewed articles, what other information do you track? How do you measure an article's effectiveness?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of answers to that. So when we say track the journey, we'll track the journey from the main site as well as into the customer support site. We will track what people searched on and how many articles did they click into before they stopped. We also place, and this is when we're trying to, I want to differentiate here, a high volume trying to deflect calls situation versus a white glove customer support, because they are handled differently, and that's one of the fun things about my world is we get to design these solutions, based on the type of program. But in the one I was referring to, we placed the customer support, the phone number, the chat icon inside the self-help site. So the person has to click in and attempt to self-help before they get to the phone number and the click to chat. And so we track what was their top-level category. And the key is to categorize your knowledge-based articles so that essentially you're drilling down to a much smaller answer set versus a traditional FAQ where you have a search and it just brings up anything that you searched on. If you have main product categories or devices, anything that you can start narrowing down the world of answers into a smaller subset, and we will track that journey. And you can look at that and see that maybe there's one category that has a higher rate of people giving up and chatting because they didn't find the answer they need. And that's when you need to get your content developers focused on looking at the interactions that came out of that, what answers did the agents give when they finally connected, and making sure they're updating their support site with that new information. And the key there is that continuous improvement. So track not just what, if they searched on a question, but how they got to the answer, and even more importantly, how they got to a non-answer. Where were they at when they gave up and reached out for help? Because that means they didn't find it, and we need to focus and figure out what's missing.
All right, thanks for that. We have another question here. I'm going to toss this up for anyone to jump to answer. How are the screens? You talked about integrating CRM with the IVR, how are the screens integrated into the contact center display? Are these native screens to a specific contact center product, or do apps need to be built?
So that's a good question, and it's both. So the IVR into the CRM is not a screen functionality. That is a behind-the-scenes data integration. But within your CRM, to bring it into one solution, that is where you come into the screens. One of the things that we like to do is, trying to think of a good example here, we have a white glove customer support for a pharmaceutical company where we have to fill out a patient assessment form that is actually not part of Oracle Service Cloud and not even part of the Hart-Hanks company. It's built by another company. It's a web-based form. And so instead of, when the agent gets to that point in interaction, having them launch a browser, log into this other site, fill out the form, we did a couple of really simple things. The first is within Oracle Service Cloud, you can use the browser controls to launch a site within the CRM. It looks like it's part of Oracle Service Cloud. There's a tab for it. It displays great. It actually isn't part of the system, but it's there. It's all in one. And the next step that we did behind the scenes is that single sign-on. So when they launch, and then they click on the tab within Service Cloud to fill out their patient assessment form, they don't have to log in again. They're already logged in with this handshake that we have behind the scenes. And then the real key that we did, instead of them having to type in the patient's information again, we applied some fairly simple JavaScript that we asked the other vendor to put behind their web page that takes the data from Oracle Service Cloud that was in focus, so the customer that we're looking at, and automatically, one of my favorite terms, brings that data into the form. So there's no redundant data entry. Everything is in sync. They don't have Green as the first name, in the CRM, and maybe Green without an E as the last name in the form.
All right, great. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions. We went a little bit over, but I would like to thank our presenters today and our viewers for viewing and asking questions. Again, I'd like to thank Ann Thayer, who's the account manager for Speech Analytics Solutions at CallFinder, Stacy Green, head of Solution Services for Customer Experience Support at Hart-Hanks, and Yohai West, Solutions Marketing Manager at NICE Systems. If you'd like a copy of the presentation, you can download it once the event is archived. If you'd like to review this event or send it to a colleague, please use the same web address that you used for today's event. It will be archived for 90 days. Plus, as a courtesy, you'll receive an email once the event is posted. And just for participating in today's event, you can win this Google Chromecast. The winner will be posted on destinationcrm.com on August 31st. Please visit our website to see if you're the winner. This concludes our broadcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect. Speakers, please stand by for your post-conference.